Jadon Sancho and Mason Greenwood are at the center of the attention now as the two drop differing hints concerning their futures with Manchester United. Welcome to the United Road Sport. My name is Webb, and here is a latest update concerning two important players in terms of how we view them. I think they are very important regardless anyway. For anyone who loves Manchester United, you know the importance of Sancho. I mean, he's earning over £350,000 per week to play away from Manchester United. He's only 24. Meanwhile, Mason Greenwood is without a shadow of a doubt the best Manchester United player, but he cannot play for them. Now, here's the thing. So the two have dropped interesting hints and they are differing. What you see there is what Greenwood has done, and this was reported by The Athletic. This is, I think, the most credible news source right now. I think if you look over you think of a news organization, I think in sport, it's becoming the most credible now. So they are saying that Napoli have made contact with Manchester United concerning Mason Greenwood. I think I've spoken about this before, months before. At times I say things early and people say, where do you get them? But there you go. So Napoli has made contact with Man United, inquiring about the possibility of them signing Mason Greenwood. And that's, of course, after hearing how undecided United are with him and his future. They feel like the 20-year-old can cross over from Spain to Italy and try to inspire them to return to the top where Victor Osimhen had put them. So you can imagine partnering Victor Osimhen as the number 9 with Mason Greenwood flying from one side. I think Napoli could be unstoppable, don't you? So they think they can try and talk to Man United and see what possibilities are available for them to try and get him. United, remember, have him until the end of 2025, but also have an option of extending his contract by a further 1 year. So United are saying they won't rush to make a decision on who takes him unless a club comes with the right amount of money they feel he's worth. So they don't want to see clubs take advantage of the situation. And the hint is that's the hint that you see right there on that post there, that post that I've quoted, that he has put his Manchester United facility up for rent. It's a £14,000 per week, per month rather, mansion. Has got 6 bedrooms. It's a mansion. So he has put it up for rent. This to signal, because remember already his loan spell with Getafe is ending. So the obvious thing would be he would want to come back and take house in Manchester. But if he's putting it up for rent, then it's maybe a message, sending a signal that maybe he's not planning to return to United anytime soon. So it's probably a decision known now. I think it's probably the thing that might have been, decided on by everyone involved, but they're just yet to decide what they do with him. If he's not bought by a club that has got enough money, they will be loaning him, keeping him on loan either at Getafe or another club. They will try and see. But the idea for Ineos is, if at the very worst, if we don't get a suitable offer, we would rather loan him. When the loan spells are done, we'll extend his contract if he wants and try to integrate him back into the team. If he doesn't want, we lose him for free, but they're not losing him for cheap. That's at least to Ineos. I mean, which I think is a good stand, considering how good the player is again. But United, meanwhile, have also got another player whose fate is a bit different in Jadon Sancho. With Sancho, it's not even, it's confusing, I would say, because for him, it's not exactly that there are people who want him out. It's a few individuals who he perhaps rubbed the wrong way, especially the manager, dealt with him, sent him away to put his head right. Now, will they welcome him back, assuming that he has learned his lesson? Would he want to come back and fit into an Eric Ten Hag team? Now, the latest that is coming through is suggesting that Jadon Sancho has put his has bought a house in hell, just a few minutes away from Eric Ten Hag's home in Manchester. Now, this is to drop a hint that he's probably thinking about returning, that maybe even the talks, because remember that recently, I think a few weeks ago, it was said that Eric Ten Hag, rather Manchester United, has been sending people from Manchester United to speak to Jadon Sancho, monitor him and speak, because he's still their player, regardless what happened with him. And he's an important part of the team. He was bought for about 95 or about million US dollars. So he's an important important player. They have got to monitor him, even if they don't want him back. They have got to ensure that he's okay, so that he's good enough for the next buyer if they're going to recover some money. So they can't just throw him away to Borussia Dortmund and abandon him to them. So they have been monitoring him, and apparently, perhaps the talks that they had could have signaled or ended up in him choosing to return. And now it is said that he has bought a 3.8 million pounds home or house close to in Hell. That's just a few minutes away from where Eric Ten Hag stays now, as if to drop a hint that he should be returning. Remember, Sancho and Mason Greenwood are important players for Man United now in terms of what decisions Ineos makes with them, because most of the players United has been pointed have been linked with play in the positions that Sancho and Greenwood play. And now these are two players. One is extremely hot. The fans wouldn't want him back. Some fans wouldn't want him back. The other is decently hot because he's in the Champions League final, but he earns a lot of money. So what do you? And it's so expensive. It won't be easy for Man United to find a potential perfect buyer for the 24-year-old Jadon Sancho around Europe. And he's not a Saudi going player. You don't think Sancho can leave United and go to Saudi? If it's a club in Saudi, they would easily pay even more than the 73 million pounds that United paid. But so they have got then to sort them before United thinks about bringing in Michael Olise or Eze, all these other players that they have been linked with. They need to have first make decisions on these two players. And this is where we are. But from the hints we are getting from the players, as if Greenwood is not returning anytime soon, and maybe Sancho is returning. Now, again, this is based on the hints we are seeing, because uh, it's possible. I think Sancho's situation is not out of. I think they let go of Sancho because he was not exactly performing so well when he fell out with the manager. Because I'm assuming if Sancho had been performing as well as Garnacho maybe was at some point, probably the discussion, it would have been an easier thing to deal with. But I think it was a case of maybe good riddance for him, which I think is also good, was also good for him, because eventually he has ended up in a Champions League final, and in a way, it's it's working for him. That so many fans now feel he should return to the team. It's easier for him to make his case to return to the team. So the, everything United will do in terms of getting a winger, in terms of getting Michael Olise or Eze or whoever, whichever winger they would want to do, will have to depend on what decisions Ineos makes with Sancho and Mason Greenwood, because they can't just add onto them. With Anthony, we know that the decision most likely is easy. Anthony will not be staying, because even now Ahmad is ahead of him. It's clear with Sancho, with Anthony. He had tried to come and score a few important goals to make it look like he can be given time, but I don't think there's turning back when it comes to Anthony. I think it's a gone case. His is done. He's got to leave. But we can't have clutter. You can't have an unsettled Greenwood, Sancho and Greenwood, and then bring on Michael Olise. And then, what's that? What kind of management is that? That's Ineos again, not having a plan. So very soon, you should expect to hear an update on these two players. But if you to go by the hints, most probably Sancho could return. And well, if he did, then would we then need Michael Olise, or would we just then give him a chance together with Amad Diallo, and then let go of Rashford, get that money from Rashford, buy a backup striker for Hoyland, let go of players like maybe Scott, get a centre back, add some money on it, get a centre back, let go of a few other players, Casemiro, or maybe bring a competitive Joao Neves in the middle, in the holding midfield, let go of a few other players, find some cash from what we have, buy a left back, and we see, because people talk about depth up front, but I'm thinking the depth is not entirely in signing a new player. And whereas there are good players there, but if you're going to keep Sancho because he has shown that he can be a good footballer, he's only 24, then I think if you let go of Rashford and have a striker to back up Hoyland, then you've lost Anthony. Then you have Ahmad, you've got Garnacho, you've got this Jadon Sancho. I I think that's decent. I think that's decent depth to start with, at least in this summer transfer window. If it doesn't work, you can buy time into the next transfer window and see if you can add someone there. But I keep telling people that for me, it's priorities. It's a case of priorities now, because you're not going to sign everyone you can dream of having in one transfer window. I think this first summer transfer window is going to be mostly about priorities. Who do we prioritize? I don't think with these players and this situation I've just broken down for you, I don't think Michael Olise should be a top priority for Manchester United. There are bigger priorities. Man United just has to play the cards right and adjust with the players they have. The either Greenwood or Jadon Sancho. I think both of them are good enough to play at Man United. Sort one of them or both, bring them back. If you do, just let go of Marcus Rashford, then bring a striker, a backup striker, then focus on the other positions, the left back, central defense, holding midfield, and of course a backup striker for this summer transfer window, just for players. Then clean and put away some of the other rotten tomatoes. Then elevate the youngsters. You have Bruno in there, and then promote a few kids from the academy. Then buy time with those as we get into the next summer transfer window, but not just parking players in one window. That's how I think Ineos should approach it. Anyway, let's wait and see. My name is Webb. This is the United Sports. Subscribe, and I'll catch you later.